to start recording. Okay, welcome everybody. We're live. I hope that you can see us, hear us. Write us in the chat if you can, and also write us what do you do in life and where are you watching this from. I mean, we are all in our houses, apartments, but in different cities. So yeah, let's start with interaction. My name is Nemanja Zivkovic. I'm the founder of Funky Marketing and the host of this webinar. And today I have a pleasure to host Pavle. Pavle, I won't introduce you. You can do it yourself. You have so many things to say, so it's easier like that.
Fair enough. Thank you, Nemanja, for having me today on the webinar. Happy to share some insight and thoughts. My name is Pavle Krivokuca. I'm coming from Impact Hub Belgrade. I'm managing partner and CEO. And basically, what I'm doing for the past 8 years now, almost, I'm very much active in startup ecosystem and I have the business ecosystem partially, mostly into business development area. So like figuring out your customers, figuring out your marketing and sales processes, setting up the whole structure and kind of optimizing your operations. So I guess I can share mostly, and I have relevant experience in that perspective, and also in regards to sales and pitching specifically. So I work a lot with startups and entrepreneurs on I would say that level of kind of figuring out how can they pitch and present themselves better, but also kind of figuring out their business model as a whole. So that's some I would say good pointers for the intro, and then we can go on through the conversation. So yeah.
Great. We are live on the Funky Marketing Facebook page and also on Impact Hub page. So that's great. Streaming in 2 channels. Okay, so for starters, what I wanted you to tell us is what do you actually do in the Impact Hub Belgrade? You're doing so many things in so many different levels. So how do you actually explain that?
Yeah, that's always an interesting one because it's multi-layered, and Impact Hub as such is also again not a regular, I would say, business setup. So it always takes some time, but I'll try to like keep it short and to the point. So from that end, like Impact Hub, it's we are a community of startups and enterprises who are kind of creating sustainable solutions, so sustainable business solution, but also sustainable in the sense of environmental, social, and other aspects of life. So basically, having a good balance in between having a proper vision and mission on one end, but also having a really strong and sustainable business model to, serve the purpose and solve the problem to your customers and market. So that being said, we have basically three elements of our business model. One is basically all the content and program we are developing and kind of supporting. So incubation, acceleration.
Sorry for the interruption. I forgot to start the event. So people are right now in the room. We were live on Facebook, but we are right now live
on the event as well.
Response stream. Yeah. Okay. Guys, can you hear us or see us? Now you can, I think. Yeah. Okay. People can see us, hear us. Thank God, I forgot to start the stream. We are recording, but we weren't live, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Shall we start from the beginning again? Or let's start from the explanation of what you do in the Impact Hub.
Yeah. So basically, as I was saying, there are like 3 elements of Impact Hub business model. So one are programs, so incubation, acceleration, pre-acceleration. We do a lot of different things to support founders in different stages of their development and scaling and growth. So finding an investment, and generally kind of figuring out your markets and stuff like that. So that's, I would say, the strong content piece. And then on top of that, we do combine it with different elements. So we host the communities in the sense of both online and offline. In this whole situation, more online, I would say, definitely. So organizing different kind of meetups, cluster groups, exchanges, like tailor-made networking and connection for people to find their partners, investors, customers, promote their products and service, and stuff like that. And also we do have a physical space, currently closed, but we do have a space of 550 square meters of co-working and event space and meeting room space. So we kind of also do provide services in that field, from event or design and organization, to using different flexible co-working models. So that's kind of overview of the setup. And important thing maybe to mention also is that we are a global network. There are 100 plus impact hubs present worldwide, and we are all kind of in the same under the same brand, and we exchange our IP, we exchange different things, and also members. There are like 16,000 members worldwide. So that's really kind of good benefit when somebody wants to scale from Serbia and go to US, UK, European market. Now even Asian market is booming with hubs. So kind of you have a place to go and a community to go to. So and then reflecting on the first part of the question, which was what do I actually do? So I'm with the team from the early on, a couple of months prior to the opening. So it's closely moving to 6 years now. I'm working with them. And we are basically, my main responsibility, I went through kind of different stages, and I like to say I worked in every possible, I would say, position inside of an Impact Hub, so I really know it inside and out. Currently, my main kind of role, it's moving very much towards to product management in a very wide sense of terms. So figuring out what services are we providing, what are we selling, how are we selling, marketing and communicating it, but also kind of developing based on the customer feedback. So that's my kind of good overview of the role. And in that sense, I do have a team which I'm managing, also partners and vendors that I'm collaborating and working with, and also like partnerships. So that's also a part of that, figuring out the smaller tier partnerships, and what's the setup and how can we kind of collaborate, exchange, and create a joint impact in that sense. On a very, I would say, functional terms, I guess you can call me a semi-number guy, in the sense of, I like data and I like to, figure out things from the data and to track and measure it. So I'm in charge of all the optimization that we have in our business. So like process, setting up the process, maintaining it, but also kind of improving it, and both offline and online in that sense. And I would say that my third hat would be actually in the piece when I'm working with startups and companies. So in Impact Hub, we work with over 150 startup and business teams over the years. Me personally, I work with some additional 100 in parallel time, mostly working on figuring out their business model, because that's my kind of area of expertise and interest, but also helping them to sell and pitch their businesses. So I work a lot with finalizing your pitch decks, your communication, your narrative, and then figuring out the sales process, so it's kind of more streamlined and focused in that sense. So yeah, I would say that's a good overview.
Yeah, and that's a great experience that you just said. You are learning and improving yourself in so many levels just by doing your job, right?
Yeah.
So
true that.
Yeah, great. So I just today, I think you also received, since we are the part of the co-working community of Serbia, right? The email when guys are analyzing the situation and the impact of the COVID-19. So tell me what's the situation over there. You are also, one big part of your business is a co-working, and people having people around having events around those people, and all those things involving people in the space.
So yeah, when I would say in the moment when shit hit the fan with the whole COVID situation and like emergency situation, it was a big impact on us, and it still is, because we, at the moment we just kind of lost 2/3 of the revenue, and it was like kind of, oh shit, so like not now are we going to do? Thankfully, for the couple of past years, I would say almost 3 now, we are working and delivering our value also online. So we are very present online, and our programs that are currently going, it was a really quick switch. It was like in 3 days time, we were fully online because we were online before. So just the matter of optimizing few things. So we are able to fully deliver the value to our customers on that end. And also we are kind of developing new products. But it's really interesting because, we, I would say, even though the co-working and event space are the core elements of the business model, it's not our core business. So we are not, in that sense, in event space business. So we don't have kind of impact on that end, in the sense of having the customers not coming to you anymore. They're definitely not coming for the same things, but we are keeping the conversation going, and we are much more on that side, content developers, and figuring out the I would say the more high-end services that we offer, out of which co-working and event space are the part of. So it's now figuring out the model. So to give you an example, we have customers now, speaking with them to help them figure out online events, but not online events in the sense of which platform to use and how to host an online event, but rather what's the purpose of it, how you engage with people, how you connect them to your business goals. What is and it's the same conversation. If you host the physical event, it will be the same question. Why are you doing the event? Is it a promotional one? Is it, to engage your customers? Is it educational? Or is it a part of the pipeline that you're building? So we are kind of helping people figure out those elements for them, and then providing good practices, know-how, and services for them to kind of develop that and offer to whoever they are offering it to. Obviously, it's a transitional. People are a bit, I would say, scared and freezed less and less by each day, because they're kind of figuring out, okay, so the COVID situation is not here to stay. It's gonna, be solved in near future, in like next 6 to 12 months. But beyond that, when it's figured out, we are getting you to like a new normal kind of context. So it's not like the moment of, and in 3 months' time, everything is gonna be back to normal. It's not gonna be back to normal. So like it's pretty much. For us at this stage, and I think the I would say generally businesses are figuring out what's happening with the customers, what are the needs, what are the changes that the whole situation is bringing that are going to stick, and how can we adapt better and provide better solution for our customers at the end of the day. So it's kind of more relevant, because as long as you are solving a big enough problem for your customers, there's always going to be work. It's just a matter of figuring out which piece of the problem you are solving, and you are good at solving. So you want to be there. That's the sweet spot. I mean, something that you're good at and people are willing to pay you for, and you are happy to do. So that's kind of the 3 axes in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the overall situation, I mean, you are developing businesses, but also you are helping them engage with other businesses, with exactly what you said now, with little pieces that can help them grow even beyond your work and beyond what do you do with them. And that's actually the power of the community that you are developing. So you are helping them create these certain steps, and then also working around that to actually grow more in the near future, not even in the far future. And from what I'm seeing is that the crisis and everything will help actually people have an urge to get to know their customers. So for now, I mean, you're doing the same thing that I am. We are helping people understand who are their ideal customers, how do they communicate with them, those kind of things. And we have so many middle-sized, even the enterprises who have no idea who their ideal customers are. For the enterprise, they are basically in the space where they have so many income streams that they don't care about that. And the mid-sized businesses, well, they will start caring now, because they need to because I mean, we are talking mostly about the, I don't know, SaaS, software outsourcing companies, those kind of things. They are all dependent on the outsourcing. Even if it's like cold calling or it's cold mailing, but it will stop now. They will need to go around and create actually meaningful content, create the story and everything that we're going to talk about eventually here. And what do you do with your programs?
Exactly. And it's, I would also maybe add on top of that, you're really right. Like, it's not just the matter of figuring out the opportunities, but also finding, good partners to do it with. Because, it's really what I've seen over the years, it's really kind of bringing in the power of, having multiple businesses or multiple organizations, multiple entities, however you like to call it, solving a certain problem, and then figuring out really where are you best at, but also at the same time, who is complementary to you. So you can offer, bundles, you can offer joint services, because, I would say customers don't have sub problems. They have problems they want to solve, and they want all pieces of the puzzle to solve that problem. So it's up to us as, business developers, as, solution providers, to help them figure out whatever do they need over there. So it's really, reflecting on the whole COVID situation. You can see a boom of, all the companies providing any kind of logistics services, transportation services to end consumers, because, you have a bunch of businesses, producers of physical products, that cannot deliver easily, their product or service to end customers. So natural partnership is actually having somebody in, logistics business, in example. And then there's many more to come. So figuring out all the details is quite important for creating sustainable collaboration, I would say. So
yeah, sorry, I was just scrolling because I saw the quote on Impact Hub page today from your podcast, and it's just sticks to me still. Marginal businesses, because of changing circumstances, become more relevant. That doesn't mean that they will be relevant after the crisis. It's a great quote and a great statement. So crisis is always a change for something new to start, and something that wasn't over there, wasn't in the first place, or didn't have an urge to go big. People are using opportunities and what's over there, but if they don't structure their business in a certain way, it won't last. I mean, tell me a little bit. Basically, you are at that point with the programs that you're doing for startup and businesses. So tell us a little bit about what's the program about, and what's different over there that's not the same as some other similar programs in Serbia and even wider.
So what I would kind of highlight and say, just as like a short intro to that, is that, we've been working with entrepreneurs and founders for actively for past 7 or 8 years now at this point.
And what you said before, like Impact Hub is really different. It's not a classic co-working space. It's something different.
Yeah, it's something, because we really want to kind of help founders, help businesses grow and scale sustainably. That's our, I would say, purpose and goal and mission, to kind of help them out so we have the sustainable impact and sustainable change in the world happening around. So when we started off like 6, 7, 8 years ago, we did pretty much one-to-one basis consultations with founders and teams. And it was in line with, okay, what is your problem? Tell me what's your problem so we can figure out jointly how can we solve it. And it still remains our overall kind of approach, but we just kind of structure it in a way. So by working with those founders and solo founders over the years individually, we really kind of figure out what are the major pain points and what are kind of the most important things they need to work on to kind of grow and scale to the next stage, whatever that might, the next stage might be for them. So what happened in that process was we obviously started doing programs as a way of kind of optimizing our time, and then also delivering value to our higher number of people in the program. So we did, different incubation, pre-acceleration, acceleration programs over the years, whatnot. And then we came to the point when currently the programs that we are running for startups and businesses, they are pretty much leaning on all the feedback, all 150 plus teams that we worked for with over the past years, and with the things that we've seen both in the market here, but also in the markets of scale. So markets like US, UK, certain European markets, and what are general trends, and what are what are investors looking for, what are the customers looking for to kind of match it up. So that's why we came to the program as it is, and we always update it. We don't have the two same versions of the program ever. We update it based on who's coming and who are we kind of speaking and I would say kind of exchanging to. So it's basically focusing, I would say, on two pillars. So one side, if you are a startup, so helping you figure out your investment strategy and your exit strategy. It's quite often that people start doing things and they know if it's a business or a startup, and it's completely fine because you're also figuring out the things in the beginning. So the basically and then again you can find very different definitions of what's a startup.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say that the most unfortunate one was that a startup is a company that just started up. So there's in the beginning, which again, it's fine to a certain level, but it's not really communicating the whole startup, I would say, growth story and the potential. When we think about startups, we think about the successful cases like, I don't know, Facebook or Instagram or something, some companies that were started and they became super big, serving a huge chunk of the market and, have a crazy growth. So that being said, a true, a startup in that sense, it's really pretty much connected to a growth model. So you want to have exponential growth model. You want to go to markets of scale, which means that probably Serbia and the region, it's not your market. It's maybe your test market to just kind of figure out the things because you're geographically here and it's cheaper. But then, moving on to the later stages, it's pretty much, you need to go to another market and have that mindset. When you are a startup of that kind of exponential growth and stuff, you're really pretty much dependent on investments. And investment rounds you're going to see, down the line. And to really figure out your investment kind of rounds, it's really important to have a consideration, what is your exit strategy? So why is this important? Because at the end of the day, as a startup, you are moving towards, you are selling your business to someone. That's the purpose of startup. You want to be acquired. You want to be bought by somebody big like Facebook or Google or Amazon or whoever is buying, startup companies these days. That's the goal of the startup. That's the mission of the startup while serving certain needs in that sense. By saying that, you're also kind of saying, okay, if I'm developing my business to sell it, to somebody, what are the things that need to happen to kind of go there? And then, of course, it includes, figuring out your customers, growth hacking practices, figuring out your processes, having a really strong business model, and all the things that you need to do there. But that's a really strong kind of pillar that we are kind of aiming towards. It's not like, oh, let's boost your sales or whatnot, because it's kind of surfacing up. The core problem is which problem you are solving, it's for who, and what are you going towards to in the sense of, exiting a business. Another piece of the program, it's, we call it storytelling, but it's really kind of figuring out your key value proposition and key narrative of, really expressly communicating which problem are you solving to your customers, to your potential investors, to your partners. Because quite often we find a situation where we meet up the founders and it's like, cool, what are you doing? And they need next 45 minutes to explain to us what exactly are they doing for us to really understand it, which is okay, but you don't have that time with your customers, with your investors and your partners. You need to kind of be really sharp on that. So we're kind of helping startups polish up and figure out the way they are communicating in a very, sharp manner so they are relevant whoever is on the other side. Is it an audience? Is it a bunch of customers? Is it partners? Is it an investor? Whoever it is on that side. So that's something that we are doing through the startup program. So it's very participative. It's very kind of involving people to kind of work on that. We are not, and I always underline it, we are not educational programs. So it's not like, oh, you come, you have 6 or 7, 8, 10 modules of, certain topics. There's an ex cathedra, presenter who is speaking about the topic, and then see you next week. No, it's pretty much the basis of you need to do the heavy lifting. We are, and I like the metaphor we're using there. We're a really good person next to a driver. If you are driving a bus, we bring out maps, we give you GPS, we go out and ask a person for directions, but you are figuring out the directions, you are hitting the pedal, so you are kind of in charge of those things. And that's why also in the program, while working with founders, it's very much dependent on their work and feedback, and also implementing the feedback they got from the exchange, kind of peer sessions and stuff like that. And then making it parallel, because we always do a parallel business program. So for business entities who don't have that exponential scaling, due to any fact, it's completely fine. You don't need to be a startup to be successful or to make change. It's just a matter of different perspective. So businesses usually they don't have scalable digital solutions. They either do products or do services that are not scalable in the I would say startup way, when you can serve a bunch of customers with a really small team. And also your costs are not growing up with your revenue. So that's a startup. And I always like to give an example. The moment when Instagram was acquired by Facebook for however many millions and millions of dollars, they had 70 employees and over 30 million users on the platform. That's the good kind of exchange rate, if you like. So while businesses, you have a physical product, you have a service which is not scalable in that sense. And mostly what we are doing with businesses on that level is help them figure out their sales. So help them really, again, we do a strong storytelling piece and figuring out their key value proposition and kind of optimizing their sales, communication, marketing, so they can really do it based on their customers. So like customer discovery and development towards, I would say growth hacking strategy, which can be, in marketing, in sales, in partnering up and stuff like that. And also additional strong piece there, it's also optimizing their operations. We quite often see companies of 5, 10, 15, even 30 employees who, are selling something, they're doing these different things, but it's not really synced up, or they're not sure what they're doing, or their portfolio, it's not straightforward. So we kind of help them out to figure out, different, I would say, elements there. What should they focus on? What's bringing them, revenue? What's really, their purpose and mission? So it can kind of balance out in that sense. So to maybe wrap up it for the question, it's really about, we really kind of adapt it to the whole customer feedback. Our customers are companies, are businesses and startups. So we try to always kind of listen to their needs. So all the things that I mentioned, they were not like, oh, we were super smart, let's do them. It's something that we saw from the need and we say, okay, let's figure out how can we help and, be the most relevant for the founders.
Yeah, I can just lay back and listen. So many information here, guys. If you heard something that's interesting, that's valuable, go ahead and write us in the chat. Also share it. Both Pavle and I like when you share, quote us or share or like things. So go ahead and share. Also feel free to write questions if you have them anytime. We'll also answer at the end. But anytime you hear something that you have additional question or whatever, go ahead and answer to that. So one thing I wanted to mention is that what I'm seeing now is that it's not the right time to sell. So we need to be patient and wait. But while we are doing that, we can go back to see how the structure of our business is, what are some things that we can improve, but also something that you guys are also doing is work on creating relationships with other businesses, with clients, with some, maybe also some leads that we have but that we didn't close yet, and we are just now in a position to chat. but we are not going on it. I mean, for some businesses now is the time to go all in, because if you are built on relationships, on meaningful things, you need to recognize the situation when you go ahead and go in the offense, not just playing the defense. That's also one thing that I'm seeing. And tell me, what are you seeing in the next, not just connected to the crisis, but also you are working with businesses and startups for a long time now, but in the next half a year, what are the things that you recognize? What patterns do you recognize about mistakes those businesses are making when they come to you, when they come in the program? What are some most often mistakes that they make?
So I'll go from the end and then towards the beginning of the question. So definitely a thing that we see on that end, and that's one of the, I would say, startup myths that's been busted a bunch of years ago, and people know that, but they're still kind of using it, and that's like, build it and they will come. They will not come.
It's more sexy like that.
Yeah, it's more, it's more like, I'm gonna build it, and trust me, like in 2 years' time, people are running in my door to do that. That might be the case.
Also, there's sorry to interrupt you. There's also a thing what I'm seeing right now, because so many businesses are closing up because they don't have the income stream and everything else because of the crisis. I mean, it's things started to shift. Like, entrepreneurs were like superstars in the last half a year or year, especially in US, like going with the movie stars, with everybody, and not that many people were talking about the bad sides also of the business. Just wanted to get that impression, and now I will let you go all in with that.
Yeah, no, definitely. The businesses are being hit pretty much, pretty hard, and it's gonna take some time to adapt. But I would say, for the current and people who are developing their products, but also serving their clients, you can really see the difference of people who understand the needs and understand, and have a relationship and a kind of report set up between them and clients, and people who were just selling and pushing it. And so at the moment they lost their business like this, because they didn't have the relationship, they didn't have this, the support, the exchange, and you kind of picking up the pulse of their customer needs. And that's usually the problem, with the founders. They come and say, oh, well, I'm gonna build that, and people are, for sure, they're nobody on the market is doing it in the way I'm doing. That's, in 99% of times, that's not a good thing. That means that somebody tried it and failed multiple times in doing something similar. It might be due to timing. So timing might be right now for some things, definitely. But for majority, is the sense of people just don't need that product in that sense, or they don't need the specific kind of niche in that sense. They're solving their problem in a certain way already. So it's really, I would say, that the mindset shift that we see is towards having a really strong, I would say, engineerial approach in the sense of solving problems. So let us build, let us solve the problem and then see who can buy, versus figuring out what's the problem to the customer that is relevant for us, and we are building a great solution for them and offering it, in that terms. And it, you can see really that, it really comes to the bottom line of having founders who are present in the industry and have the industry expertise and know-how. They know that. So it's pretty much, they're bringing that on the table, versus founders who just had an idea about the industry they are not there at all, another industry, they haven't had past experience and whatnot. So I would say, and now with the whole, I would say, COVID crisis and everything, it's definitely going to be more important for founders to really understand and relationship build with their customers. Why is it important? Because people now are, I was going through some, articles regarding, what are people doing and what's their behavior during COVID. And one of the first things they were doing, individually, if you're speaking, about the B2C segment of the market. So people first they went and figured out, what are all the things they are subscribed to and they are not using. So the first thing, they canceled the subscription to the things they were not using because, they want to save money at certain times. So out of nowhere, subscription services are seeing, lower and lower numbers of people. Why? Because, all the people who were idle, who were just, subscribed sometimes, and, you didn't give a value to them or whatnot, they're not going to use you anymore because you don't have a relationship with them. And it goes also for small businesses. What I see, at least locally here, businesses who are having a great product and they build relationship with the customers. Customers are more than happy to accommodate to the situation and actually go out and order online or go physically to their shop or small manufacturing place and buy the product from them because they know it's a great product and they want to support the local business in that sense. But it's for the businesses who have a good value proposition, who are relationship building with their customers, so it's kind of more click on that end. I would highlight those as a kind of some trends and something that we are seeing more and more in this whole situation. So yeah.
Yeah, one other thing that I'm seeing also connected to that is that businesses who have, let's say, a long selling process or long buying process, if we look at from the customer's perspective, they are selling like, I don't know, high ticket products, but those that are taking more time to implement, like the I don't know, the huge systems in the companies or something like that, which are, or they are getting left on the side because it is something that becomes less important at this time, because it takes time. Let's leave it when the crisis is over, and that's just normal way of thinking.
True that. Very, very true. Yeah.
So enough about mistakes. Let's talk about potentials. Tell me, what did you see as a potential? You work with more than 200 businesses and startups, definitely. Probably even more if we go back to your student days and everything that you did at the time. So it's actually where we met on a conference organized by ISIC, right? So what are the potential of not just startups but also businesses in Serbia and this like Western Balkans? What did you see that that you want to like amplify and go all in on that?
So so definitely what we've seen in past couple of months, half a year to a year, there's been a growth of different online collaboration tools and platforms, and by chance, the need for those is as big as it ever was, because more and more people are moving to online work, and what is definitely going to be a market trend. More people are going to stay to work from home or remotely after the whole crisis, and that's the fact. So they will need different solution and best solution to fit their needs in that sense. So that, I would say, is that market is going to grow, and definitely whoever is in that field has a really good opportunity and potential to kind of dive deep into that. Also, in addition to that, I would say
we have some startup or businesses in that. I mean, I know we have Active Collab, right?
Yeah.
And few others. We have more, right? That I don't know about, probably.
Yeah. Definitely. We just founded like a small cluster of those businesses and startups like a couple of weeks ago, and now we have, I think, 6 startups. So like the domestic, like Serbian-based startups developing their products, already having some of them already having users, live betas, and whatnot in that field, and it's growing. So definitely, there's a bunch of companies doing that. The competition is big, definitely, but on the other end, the market is growing. So there's an opportunity there to kind of expand.
I always, when I look at that industry, the first thing that comes to my mind is not Active Collab, sorry guys, but it's like the base camp. Even before Trello and before Asana and everybody else, because of the founders. I mean, it's if you take a look in what they're doing, it's like a unique way of developing business. I mean, these two guys, only them, are getting traction on Twitter that is bigger than maybe 100 other businesses together. Because they are willing to tackle important things. They are sticking to some values that they have, and they don't care about what everybody else thinks. If they have proven something to work for them and they have seen it, like it's really no bullshit thing. Not like we are seeing right now some, I don't know, communities or people just saying that because of saying, but really no bullshit thing. We're gonna do it our way because we saw the possibility to go and do it like this. I mean, I don't know if you follow, but they have also they're developing the new email, which is called like Hey, and because they are seeing like Google uses so much data for other things, and they want to protect privacy, so they say, okay, we're going to invent the new email.
Wow. Yeah.
Let's go. So I'm waiting to see that, but just wanted to give an example that it doesn't matter if the competition is really great. If you stick to the values and you know how you are going to grow, what's your story and everything else, you're gonna get some tractions. And also the thing that we have in Serbia, I don't know why, probably you notice it the same. We care so much about the privacy and about recording ourselves, those kind of things, that we're actually scared to go out in public. I mean, and by thinking in public, you have so much more possibilities to develop your business because you're getting feedback on a daily level.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, people are here. I think it's a cultural thing. They're very protective of their ideas, and they are all like still in that kind of spasm, I would say, of somebody's going to steal my idea. So I'm very, of course you are thoughtful of who are you speaking with and who are you sharing certain ideas with. Of course, that's a logical sense, but it's also in the matter of the market winner. At the end of the day, it's not going to be the team with the best idea. It's going to be the team with best realization of that idea and actually adaptation of it. And I always like to speak, when speaking with founders, and this is official statistics, so it's not like a made up number. If you're working on a solution now, let's say of any like digital solution, and you sometimes in the future become a successful company, so you have a nice market share, you have certain number of customers, you have stable revenue, you have stable growth. From this point now and that point in the future, average startups / company pivots around 200 times. So they change their model, they change their idea, they change the way they are doing things over 200 times, which is basically telling us that this idea is not going to be marketable. And investors know that, and you can see, they're not investing in idea, they're investing in teams who can develop and adapt to certain kind of feedback from customers, market reality, context, whatever is happening on that end. So it's really kind of in that sense important that you exchange your idea and your realization with others, because you're also kind of picking up their brains on how can you approach that, how can you pivot, how can you adapt. They will give you things that you can build your business in. I've seen founders who, based on these inputs, completely change what they are doing. Even they started new companies to solve the specific problem which came from the customers, partners, different kind of players in the field. So yeah, it's really important to kind of share it and exchange. And then the whole partnering up story, it comes from that point. Like, how can you build together something? How can you collaborate? How can you build upon others as well, and really do it smartly? You don't need to kind of do it in the most stubborn and long way, but rather kind of find the optimal way of pivoting and changing and adapting to the whole scenario and situation, so you can kind of be more market realistic.
Yeah, I mean, you reminded me of what I did with Funky Marketing. I mean, we started wide because we knew that we want to go and to do more than just performance marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And then by actually thinking in public and by posting, by interaction with people, we saw that there's a completely abandoned field of what needs to be done. Actually, companies really needed help with that, and nobody is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So in a month or two or maybe three, I don't know, we started in October, but in January we registered. So by the time we registered, we already knew that we have a niche inside of that, and that we have something unique that we want to work on. But that's because we were all in on content, and it helped us figure out what works, what doesn't. And it can be really helpful also for the startups and for the businesses who are just starting. What else can we say about the potential?
So I would say maybe also to reflect, business sides of things, like business potential. I think it's hard to say at this point, but I think people are gonna be thinking more, making more environmentally friendly choices, and generally, thinking about, because at this moment now, most of people are, cooking at their home. They're attending their dietary needs more than before. So it's not like I'm going to a fast food shop or a restaurant and then I'm eating out there. But rather, people are cooking here, so they're becoming more and more conscious about healthier food choices and more quality food, which I think is gonna also reflect on sustainable food, and generally I think that will be one of the sectors growing. It might not have that of a rapid growth at the moment, because in response time, people are just saying, okay, let's buy whatever. But you can see now when people and I seen it exchanging also with friends in our community. Everybody was like, in first 15 days the conversation was figuring out what's where in the house and blah 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 blah. Now the conversation is, what are healthier choices, what to cook, where to buy good ingredients, how to train and exercise, because people are now figuring out, okay, so I'm home, I'm static, so I need to spice up things a bit. So there's also, I think, going to be a boom and exchange of online led trainings, exercises, more kind of that kind of dynamic and program. So yeah, it's those are some of the fields that are kind of will grow in that sense. So those are definitely potentials, and definitely when we've been speaking with our partners and mentors from Silicon Valley just like a week ago on that topic. So their insight was pretty much on that, the existing business models, they're gonna be pretty much moved and completely changed by the whole COVID situation, in the sense of there is now a field opening for smaller players who are serving certain needs, offering shared services, offering online digitalized processes. But it's really important that we don't just digitalize the analog process, so that you can buy online the same food, but it's rather what kind of add-on service can you provide online that you couldn't do before when you're doing it in an analog way. Is it a gym or a small shop on a corner or whatever? You can add value and you can figure out better customer insights and data at the end of the day by doing that, so you can provide a more competitive service or product.
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing, of course there will be mistakes. Now people are actually pushed into opening online shops so they can actually run their business. And of course there will be mistakes. Not every shop will be perfect, especially when it's launched in like 3 days.
Yeah.
So that value that you mentioned becomes even more important now. If they can communicate it nicely, if they can bridge the gap between the looks and functionality and actually value for the people, it will be great. I mean, I just bought the 24 bottles of Salto, my favorite beer, online.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was great right before the Easter. I love them. I love how they are structuring the brand. I love the quality. I love that they didn't go like we're gonna be present everywhere. We don't care about the quality. They stick to the quality, and now they're waiting for the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And this like crisis give them the opportunity, and there it goes.
Yeah.
And what I saw and what I want to mention is the way they're structuring the emails and the messages. You know, you can see that they really care in the copy of the email, in everything, and this is exactly what I like. They didn't just go, we're gonna ship everything and we'll stop caring about the people because it's crisis. You know, we have to earn money, but they are sticking to the value.
Mm-hmm. For sure, and it's really important.
Yeah. Just a second. We have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Tamara is asking two questions. How to form the price for a mobile app? That's the first one. And what % of conversions in sales can we expect for digital products like a mobile app? In our case, we have around 90K monthly active users.
Okay, very specific questions. So it really depends. First one, it really I know it's not a complete answer, but it really depends. What are you offering? You know, if you're speaking about, you know, do you have a freemium model, and then you wanna add on to certain services and like add-ons? So what kind of added value are you providing? This is like, so you have different approaches, you know, and then the add-on can vary from, you know, annual subscription of, you know, I don't know, $4.99, $9.99 per year, to, you know, subscription going to $29.99, $39.99 of more per month. So it really kind of depends what app is it, you know, is it happening there. But if you're having 90K users, what I would definitely maybe do, if you are not still charging them up or something, I would suggest do some kind of an A/B test. So before you kind of say, okay, we're going to offer this, you know, just define a batches of users of like, 1,000, and then figure out the two best models that you have, and then offering them up. Sometimes, you know, I would say always the good logic with the subscription model is that when you have it, you want to have the most expensive price put on a monthly level. Then if you're having a 6-month subscription, you have some kind of discount. And then if you have a yearly subscription, you have additional discount. Most people go for the middle option. It's a psychological thing. So it's not that it's even the cheapest one, but commitment-wise, sometimes it's too heavy for people to commit for a year of subscription because they don't know are they going to use it. And again, depending on the type of the app, it usually goes, I'm going to test it out either through a freemium or like a 1-month subscription, and then if I need it, I'm going to move to 6-month subscription. But to give you a more detailed insights from that point, I think it really depends of type of an app and type of the services you are providing using the online app, and who is it paying for. You know, if it's like B2C, like end users, or you're actually having a freemium model, but you're having kind of like a B2B model of partnering up or selling some kind of an ad space or whatever. So that can be a completely different revenue stream. And to kind of reflect on the second question, if you have like 90,000 monthly active users, It's a really good and big number of them. So I communicate with them, ask them, put them in a forum. You can, have an online webinar with them and just bring them on topic, or do like an online, forum where you can ask them certain questions. So you can have a more, direct insight in what are they thinking and what would be for them kind of okay amount to pay for the services you are providing. So do ask them. And a third and last point would be, you don't need to figure out reinvent the wheel. Go and find a Quora or Reddit subthread or whatever on the certain topic of certain apps. You can find it online. How much is your competition charging at? Where are they at? So that's pretty much giving you a ballpark, or where should your pricing be, 30 or 50% up and down, depending where you are positioning yourself in the market. So just do the research and figure out what are people already paying for in similar kind of category. It will give you a good enough kind of perspective of where are you at in that sense. So yeah.
Great, Tamara, if you hear us and if you want to give us more information, so Pavle can give you more detailed answer, go ahead. Yeah. Guys, do you have more questions? If you have, go ahead. I'm watching all the streams. That's why I'm looking down so I can see the question and everything. Let's see who's here. Alexa, Bogdan, Boyan, Dalibor, Kaldean, Ksenia, Milan. Guys, if you have questions, go ahead. If you have something to say, go ahead. Boyan is typing something. Boyan was on a webinar yesterday with Mladen, and he said he enjoys listening. I hope now he will have a question. So let's. What I wanted to say before, but I forgot. So I saw Bogdan. So I remember that from what I have seen, what Andrea was doing with the startups in your program.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I didn't see other programs have. It's that story part, when they are actually developing the way they talk about their business to the customers, and
Mm-hmm.
the way they have the way their story correlates with their business also.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking with Bogdan. He was part of the program. Maybe he still is, I don't know. But he mentioned that thing as something that's completely new. And also I know some others who was part of the program, especially if they are developers. It's something that's totally new for them.
Yeah, very, very true. I think it's again one of the things that we figure out that we should be doing based on the customer, on the feedback, but also the things that we've seen. It's super crazy. If you look at the region, we have, I would say, from the ex-EU countries, we have the highest, I would say, number of startups that are kind of being open and developed. Still not huge and crazy numbers, but comparing to other countries, I think we have a bigger ballpark, and we are by definitely. And I was in some different like regional pitching competitions and stuff like that. By far, we are the really, really bad at pitching and presenting and communicating what are we doing.
Yeah.
And it's a really really shame. So like one of the things that is going to help you move forward is communicating the things that you are doing. And quite often people are doing really amazing stuff. So it's really kind of in like 90% of times it's really cool products, it's really cool things that they are doing, but they need to know how to communicate. Otherwise it will remain a hobby. Unfortunately, because people will not digest it. They will not go there. So we need to help them to understand, and that's why we are putting such a big emphasis on storytelling, but really communicating your key value proposition and whatnot. So yeah. I see Bogdan is agreeing still with that, so that's good.
Yeah. Exactly the thing that we all need, because I feel like also if we look at from the marketing perspective, it's all sales. It's not marketing as it should be, on focusing the contact, the brand, those kind of things that will actually get the business up when the performance marketing and sales are dead, basically, because people are using sales to grow their business, and they should actually be there to take over from the marketing and actually grow more business, not from the start. And I think also that is the thing that you are doing. They don't need like the marketing as the one we are talking about, like based on sales from the start. You need it when you reach the certain points in your development.
Yeah, true that. Really true.
Tamara wrote again, says, thank you for the answer. It's a B2C, a music app. It sounds interesting, at least.
It sounds interesting.
We both love music, so it's also interesting from that perspective.
Do share the link from the Play Store, App Store, whatever. Like we would really like to see that. Especially if you're having that much traction, what's your unique value proposition, so yeah, it's a growing field, especially with the streaming services, and you have like Deezer and Spotify and stuff like that. But then pinging to this more specific one, I guess it can really kind of ping to certain audiences, and it's like moving towards more niche markets in that sense. So yeah.
Bogdan says basically it's because of wherever you go, accelerators in the region, you learn the exact same thing. Then we get the same pitch decks and the same story.
Yeah,
that might be true. Yeah,
really figuring out your own narrative, like what's unique about you, what's the one thing people are going to remember when you're pitching or presenting, and take it with themselves. So yeah.
I mean, I was present on one pitch in the last half a year, I think, on Cactus Festival, when it was a scary experience. I mean, the only one out of 3, I think, and actually the guys that have won, they were in your program, like Nicola.
Guys.
They were the only one out of 3 who knew exactly how to pitch. They weren't boring, and they were straight to the point. So another question: to what extent COVID crisis will affect hub scene in Serbia, and how much it will be changed after everything is over?
Well, so I would say it's definitely hit. All the co-working spaces are closed for a month now, or more, due to the whole situation. But to be really honest, like that's what I said in the beginning. We are our business, or even though we have a co-working, our business is not a co-working space business. It's rather like community development content business. One of the reasons why, and that's something that Impact Hubs have seen because they're present for 15 years now in different markets worldwide. It's the co-working as itself. It's not a money-making business. It's a really hard to get that business running. You have to need to have 50, 60 or more % of space usability just to kind of break even. So it's really kind of tough. And then you cannot scale it, because you can scale it, but you need to have bigger space. But with bigger space, you have bigger costs. So it's kind of like chicken and egg kind of situation. I think like in next couple of months is going to be really hard situation for that part of the business and for that ecosystem. But down the line, I think 6 months or more, I think the co-working spaces that still kind of are operational exist will be moving more towards we'll have more and more members, because people will be figuring out now, we don't actually need office space. We can work from home, and now and again we can work from like a co-working space, or we can use shared resources, so you don't need a physical office, stuff like that. So I think down the line, more people will be moving towards co-working anyhow, but it's, it's the matter of also survival at one point, like that you keep afloat and operational, and you have the community that you're kind of turning towards to. With our model, we are very happy with that because we have the core community, which is, still with us, and they are our customers, even though the space is not being currently opened or occupied, but they will be coming back down the line. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, working from home is one thing, and working remotely is completely different thing. I think like when I listened to you, just wanted to go a little bit into that because people are mixing up those two things. I mean, I'm working from home. I can work from wherever I want, but I'm working from home, and it's great because like Andrea is at work up until 4 p.m. and I have like a free apartment. But if that's not the case, it would be impossible for me to work from the apartment. So I would have to go outside to work in a cafes, in a co-working, and if you work from like one coffee shop to another, at one point you need to go to the co-working or get your own space. I mean, that's the long-term choice that you have to make.
Yeah, that's the natural kind of progress.
Just post like Tamara says, the app is called Soli on the Play Store. That we should check it out.
We'll definitely do.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Alex is asking you to suggest some books because he's seeing the books behind you. Yeah. There's also some behind me. Somebody wrote on Twitter, I think Anna Mirkovic, that she noticed that all the people who are live on N1 television, all of them have libraries behind them. Like that's a trend.
Yeah. That's the, you have a vivid background, something's happening in the background, so it's kind of interesting. True that. So maybe like recommendations to learn about the entrepreneurship. Obviously I'm going to say there's a lot of, because being content developers and we publish a shit ton of things. So we just had a new podcast actually being published now, and we're going to have 4 new podcast series being introduced in next month or so. You can definitely check out our blog. We are speaking about startups and entrepreneurship. That's our core business. Also, to be quite honest, I don't read much books on entrepreneurship and business, solely because of the point that, and I got to that point a couple of years ago now, that whenever I take a new business book or a new something, 80 to 90% of things are already being said from another book or another resource or blog or podcast. So I'm much bigger on subscribing on certain newsletters and reading business magazines. So like I'm reading one of the I follow for them for years now. It's called Happy Startup School. That's one of the newsletters. Another one is Hustle. They have really nice insights. You can also subscribe to them. Then from the magazines, I'm subscribed to Inch magazine, paperback, and then I'm following a couple of other podcasts, not including ours, which is from NPR, How I Build It. So they're interviewing founders of like big and successful companies. Of how do they, build and came to the point for that. So yeah, that's something I would kind of share and highlight and recommend that you should kind of check out and read. And then, not speaking about I would say the elementals like, mom's tests or lean startup and stuff like that are kind of slowly becoming, I would say, history books that are still relevant, but that they're like there for quite some time. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, if I look at the old marketing and advertising books, those are all relevant things. I mean, some of the things written over there can be applied to the marketing agency right now.
Yeah.
And Yeah, and also the same. You can see their relationship with the people in certain roles, and like it's crazy similar to what we have today in the huge agencies. Yeah. Also, I wasn't listening to the podcast for like maybe 2 weeks. I started yesterday again. I think it's because I'm not moving. I was listening to
Yeah,
podcasts while I'm riding a bicycle or walking around, and I didn't listen to them. I went back to listening to music again, just not doing anything, just listening to music, and it's great to have that thing also back.
yeah, true that, true that.
Okay, let me see. Do we have another question? Sure, we can wrap it up. Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. It is your last chance to ask for now. Sure. Okay, okay. Okay, something you want to say for the end. Pavle, Bojan is typing something. Maybe we'll have another question, but doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, maybe just to kind of wrap things up and like emphasize on some things that we covered. I would say, if you like going into startup and business development, nowadays it's super important to kind of really understand the needs of your customers. And once you start doing that, you never stopped it. When you stop it, you're killing the business. So it's really important to kind of, from understanding the customer perspective, you move towards relationship building and continuously kind of understanding all the points, because based on that you will be developing everything, from marketing to sales to servicing to financials to the team to the operation. So everything will be based on the customer you are serving and the problem that you are solving, and you need to understand those in very kind of practical terms. So I would kind of really emphasize that as a point.
I got one question for the end.
Yeah.
Something that we were also talking about recently is that do founders really need to pitch when they pitch their business, or it can be somebody else from the team? I think it's something that people rarely talk about, and it's important who is actually carrying the luggage, as you can
Yeah.
say.
So I would definitely say it's much better when the founders are pitching business. You can have another person, but that another person should definitely be your core member or a co-founder in that sense. Why? Because when you move from the perspective of actually, just moving past the getting to know piece, which is the actual pitch, and moving towards the questions, investors, other side, they're going to be asked a really tough and important question that only a founder can answer, because they're strategical, they're conceptual, so you need to kind of be able to answer those. So I think it's really important that a founder pitches. If there's a couple of co-founders, and that we always suggest to startups, you figure out who's best at that, and you kind of, that person becomes your pitcher, and because they kind of strengthen their skills and sharpen up their communication, that is best. So it's not good that everybody from the team pitches, even though in real terms, everybody will be pitching to someone. But if there's like an official pitch stage, there's really should be one person, training to do that over the time, so it's kind of more precise, and you use the opportunity in the best sense. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. I thought of that because I was talking with also a colleague entrepreneur, Jovana from Nema, and she said she was always creating these cakes and food, and she was always behind the cakes. And
Yeah.
she thought that, okay, I'm making this, but I'm not like the face of it. I don't want to talk and to present. So, and she's now in a situation that she slowly needs to get into that role, because she needs somebody who can help her develop the business further, not
Mm.
just sell the cakes, but develop to find somebody who will invest something in the business. And
Mm-hmm.
for that, she needs to become the face of the company. And from also what you were saying and what I'm seeing is that she's the one who can tell the story best, because it's her
Yeah.
idea to create the cakes without gluten. So it's she that had a problem. She started to create those cakes to solve her problem, and if she goes and talk about it, uh, so many people will find themselves in the similar situation with the similar problems, identify with her story, and it will just blow up even more.
Exactly, exactly. She's the most relevant person to speak about that problem because she has it and she solved it. So it's going into sense of building that relationship with the customer.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's a wrap. Thank you guys. Write us a feedback if you like it, if you find something valuable, useful. Um, I will make sure that when I'm sending the recordings, that I'm sending you also the link to the program page, to the podcast, right on the Impact Hub page, so you can also consume those things that we talked about. And if you have any questions, you can write to me or directly to Pavle anytime. That's okay. Thank you for listening, for watching, and see you another time on another webinar. Right? That's it. Easter one is over.
Mr. One is over. Amazing.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you for having me. See you around.